Have you ever wondered why we're so drawn to these stories of secret plots and hidden agendas? It's not just a few people on the internet. It's something really fundamental about our psychology. In this explainer, we're going to dig into the universal mental wiring that makes conspiracy narratives so incredibly compelling for, well, all of us. Let's get into it.
To get a sense of just how widespread this is, get this, roughly that's half of all Americans believe the government hasn't told the full story about the 9/11 attacks. Now, that's not some fringe idea. That's mainstream. And it tells us something really profound about how our minds are built to work.
So that brings us right to the big question, doesn't it? Why do these stories have such a powerful grip on our imagination? The answer, it turns out, isn't simple, but man, is it fascinating.
Okay, so to start, we've got to understand a core human drive. And look, this isn't about judging what people believe. It's about recognizing that we all share this fundamental, deep-seated need for answers, especially when the world feels chaotic and confusing.
Yeah, psychologists point out that conspiracy theories at their heart serve a really key function. They provide explanations. When we're faced with something scary or complicated, these theories can feel like a lifeline, a simple, neat story that promises to make sense of something that feels, well, senseless.
So what's really driving that search for answers? Well, researchers have found that conspiracy beliefs are often fueled by three deep, powerful psychological motives. Think of them as fundamental needs that are wired into all of us. Let's break them down. First up, you've got epistemic motives. I know it's a technical term, but all it really means is our deep need to know. You know that frustrating feeling when you don't know the end of a story or a movie? Our brains just hate that kind of ambiguity. We crave clarity, a stable picture of the world, and a conspiracy theory offers up a neat, tidy explanation that totally scratches that itch. Second, we have existential motives, which is really just our profound need to feel safe and in control. When these huge, world-changing events happen, they make us feel powerless, right? Well, a theory that points a finger at who's responsible can, ironically, make us feel better. The idea that someone is pulling the strings, even if they're a villain, can feel way less terrifying than accepting that the world is just chaotic and random.
And finally, there are social motives. The need to feel good about us, our team. These theories often paint our group as the good guys, the righteous victims, who've been sabotaged by some powerful evil them. It's a narrative that conveniently shifts blame for any problems, protects our group's image, and makes us feel morally superior.
So those deep needs create the demand for answers. Now let's look at how our brain's own programming, its built-in shortcuts and biases, creates the perfect pathway for these beliefs to take root and then hold on for dear life.
A really key idea here is the need for cognitive closure, or NFCC for short. Basically, it's the brain's desire to find a firm answer, pretty much any answer, to avoid that uncomfortable feeling of uncertainty. People with a high NFCC have this strong urge to just seize and freeze on an explanation, to reach a conclusion quickly and then stick with it.
And a 2017 study shows exactly how this plays out. Researchers found that people with a high need for answers were way more likely to believe a conspiracy theory about the refugee crisis, but, and this is the kicker, only when that theory was directly suggested to them. The need for an answer was already there, simmering, but it needed a story to latch onto.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because context changes everything. In a follow-up experiment, they used a plane crash scenario. If the cause was a total mystery, a high need for answers led people to believe in a conspiracy. But if the cause was certain and known, that exact same need for answers made people reject the conspiracy. Their minds had already seized and frozen on the clear official explanation.
Okay, another one of these powerful mental shortcuts is the proportionality bias. Our brains just instinctively feel that the scale of a cause has to match the scale of its effect. So big, world-changing events we feel must have equally big, powerful causes. And this is exactly what feels so wrong to our brains. The idea that one lone, disturbed person could change the entire course of history, it just feels off. It's unsatisfying. But a vast secret plot? Well, that feels proportional to the gigantic consequence. It just feels right, It restores a sense of balance in our minds.
And then, once a belief gets in there, this is the mental trap that locks it in place. Confirmation bias. It means we actively go looking for info that supports what we already believe, and we ignore, discredit, or totally misinterpret anything that contradicts it.
It's like the ultimate defense system for any belief, which makes it incredibly difficult to change our minds, no matter what the evidence says.
So, we've got these deep needs and mental shortcuts pushing us toward these kinds of explanations. But here's the billion-dollar question. Do these beliefs actually work? Do they really satisfy those epistemic, existential, and social needs that drive them in the first place?
Well, the research reveals a pretty cruel irony. Instead of satisfying our needs, these beliefs often totally backfire. They promise certainty, but they can actually leave people feeling more uncertain and confused. They promise a sense of control, but they're linked to people feeling less in control of their own lives. And they promise a special community, but they can lead to alienation and distrust. So often the cure turns out to be worse than the disease.
And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of all. It's really easy to look at all this psychology and apply it to other people, right? But the real insight, the real challenge, comes from recognizing these exact same patterns in our own thinking.
Because the need for answers, the desire for safety, the comfort of belonging to a group, and all the biases we've talked about, proportionality, confirmation, the need for closure, these aren't flaws found in a few strange people. They are universal features of how the human mind works. They're not bugs in the system, they're part of the factory settings.
So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. We are all wired to look for patterns and to prefer satisfying stories over messy realities. Just recognizing that tendency in ourselves is the first, most crucial step toward thinking more clearly. After all, it's really easy to see flawed thinking in other people. When was the last time you spotted it in yourself?